Is it working? Find out in 10 seconds. There we go. All right. Welcome, everyone, to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today, we're talking about types of emotional eating. And I say types of emotional eating because if you're an emotional eater, you can't just live with the idea that you're an emotional eater. That's so vague, it means nothing. What you need to do is you need to kind of dial down and figure out what kind of emotional eating are you and what emotions are triggering them. And if you look at it, what you'll probably notice is that there's probably only a couple emotions that are really the main problem. And let me take a step back here. If we just say we're an emotional eater, we can't really come up with any solution other than I got to stop emotional eating. And that's not going to work. The real solution to this is to understand what emotions are triggering the overeating, and then understand what those emotions are, and then figure out a strategic solution to feel or deal with that emotion. So let me give you an example. If you find that you're someone who, when you start to feel lonely at night, then you go to the ice cream. We don't want to say you're an emotional eater, we have to stop eating the ice cream, because that's not a real solution. That's just dealing with the symptom. And so once we understand, okay, when I feel lonely, that's what tends to trigger me to start overeating. Now we can ask the magic question, okay, I feel lonely here. How do I want to feel? And you may say, I want to feel connected. I want to feel loved. I want to feel like I'm, speaking to someone who cares about me. Great. Now you've articulated a much clearer goal for yourself where there's a real genuine solution available to you. And so again, just stopping yourself from eating when you feel lonely isn't fixing the core problem. And so as we start to figure out what kind of emotions are triggering you to emotionally eat, it allows you to kind of start on this process of understanding it and then asking the big question, again, whatever it may be, how do I want to feel? And then going to work on figuring that out. I'm not saying it's as easy as saying, oh, I'm lonely now. Oh, I want to feel connected. I'm just going to feel connected. It's not that, but it's beginning that conversation. Okay, loneliness is triggering me. I don't want to eat because that's not fixing the loneliness problem. What will fix it? What will fix it is, at night when I feel that way, let me call a friend. Let me call some family. Let me go volunteer somewhere. Let me go somewhere outside. Again, different solutions for different people, right? It depends on you. But when you start approaching it this way, this is how you get to the unique strategic solution that's going to work for you, is by identifying the emotion that is triggering it, and then figuring out what you'd rather feel instead and how you can feel that. And so some of the big emotional triggers, again, we know what these are. You know this stuff. You probably just haven't gone deep into it. So some of the big ones, you feel depressed, you feel angry, you feel sad, you feel lonely. Again, there's almost limitless amounts of emotions that can trigger us. And it's not just negative ones. Sometimes it's, we finished the week and now we were ready to kind of party and reward ourselves. We're ready to celebrate. So again, it can be good and bad emotions that can trigger the overeating. Typically, it's more the negative ones, that are going to do it. But don't just accept anymore that you're an emotional eater. Start to drill down to it and understand that you probably have a couple of these patterns. You might be someone, when I get angry, I start to overeat. When I get sad, I start to overeat. When I, feel like I did something great, then I overeat. Again, be on the lookout for that, because as you start to truly identify what the trigger is, again, it opens the door to figuring out what a real, true, genuine strategic solution to it could be as well. And once you have that real solution in place, what happens is it takes a lot of the emotional eating away, because you now have genuine ways to deal with those emotions, because the food is not a genuine way to deal with the emotion. It's just something we use to distract ourselves or to, numb ourselves from the pain that we're feeling. So it's not really a solution. It's more of a distraction. So as you find real, genuine ways to feel and deal with the emotions you want to deal with, it becomes a much deeper solution where you're dealing with the core problem instead of just treating the symptom. So I hope this helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. And I'm a little late today. Usually I'm on here. There's Paula. What's up, Paula? Yeah, I was late today. It's my son's last day of school, so we always can do some special stuff for him. Thoughts on parasite cleansing? I don't know a whole lot about parasite cleansing. So I don't really like to speak on things I don't know about, but so I have, depending on, depending what type of parasites you may be dealing with, like again, maybe you got to do that, but most cleanses are bullshit. I will let you know that I do know. I used to the master cleanse, but the idea of detoxing and cleansing is kind of bullshit mostly. And so my first initial reflexes with parasite cleansing is it's probably mostly bullshit, but if you again, I don't know I don't know what parasites they may be. So again, not my expertise, but I wish you the best with that. If you do have some bad parasite, there are some bad parasites, right? Kathy Blanton said, does the same go with wine? Like emotional drinking, right? If you're talking about emotional drinking, absolutely. Methinks I used to have a big issue with alcohol, and the same stuff I use to get control over my eating and my weight and my behaviors is exact same stuff I use to get control over the alcohol, And so if you're talking about how does the emotional stuff trigger the wine consumption, it's the same process. And it comes down, again, we're talking about emotional eating, but we're really talking about eating behaviors at the core of it. It's the same solution to everything that, if you start, most dieters just think in such all or nothing terms, which is, that all or nothing concept, you understand it probably kind of superficially, but in a deep way, that all or nothing thinking is so destructive in so many different ways. And one of the big ones is like, we say, oh, I'm an emotional eater. Oh, I'm a binge eater. I'm addicted to fast food. These are such like vague, high level descriptions that they're meaningless and there's nowhere to go from it. If you identify as an overeater, if you identify as a sugar addict, as a binge eater, once you identify as this, you're kind of out of the solution game and you're basically just in the accepting this self-diagnosis, which is bullshit. I've never seen any of these self-diagnoses as real. What I see, people that say, oh, I'm a binge eater, I'm addicted to sugar, I'm a emotional eater. What I see almost all the time is that they don't have any strategies to change their behavior. They don't know how to change their mindset. You're not actually that. You were conditioned and trained a certain way. There's different factors that, present themselves to be this now. But I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. I help people change by understanding what's going on a deeper level and then making strategic solutions to bring you in a direction you want to go in. But the first step is awareness, always awareness. Awareness precedes change. And this is like the first thing I think a dieter really has to accept. This is kind of that come to Jesus moment. Okay, I'm not as aware as I thought. And once you realize that, now you open yourself up to the real game and you get to start to understand yourself. You get to understand your behaviors. And I love it. I personally find it, again, as I say this every day, it's a process of personal development. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand your thinking, your feeling, your behaviors. I find it fascinating. Maybe that's just me. But it's interesting to me that as my clients become aware of what's going on a little deeper, not just this, oh shit, I just binge ate again. Oh, look at me, bad me, bad me. Get out of that. That's nothing. It's meaningless, And once you start to go a deeper level deeper and say, what led to the binge eating? What triggered the emotional eating? What caused me to eat all the cookies? Once we start looking at the deeper factors, now we start to break it up in a way that we can start to resolve it to some degree. And so, same goes with wine though. Same goes with all of our behavior really, because most of our behavior is on autopilot. We're all subconscious creatures here. What is the recommendation after the program is over in 8 weeks? How long will I have access to the daily sessions and library? Oh, forever. You have lifetime access. And not only you have lifetime access to the program and all the sessions and everything that's in it, but you also have lifetime access to the updates. So I update and redo the program usually a couple times a year. I'm redoing some lessons or trainings and things like that, because it's I'm just always making more and more refinements, and I love that too. It's like, man, when I look at the growth, program yourself in from 20 years ago, really even like, I don't know, three years ago, I guess I kind of really redid it in the kick-ass way it is now. It was great before, but it's just better now. And so, yeah, you'll get access to that forever. The recommendation after the program's over in 8 weeks, I will tell you so the recommendation is you can restart it if you'd like to. You can keep practicing what you're doing. There is a PYT Thrive program that I have ready to go. I'll send you info next week. I've been giving you, I hope you got it. I found out yesterday that some of the people, some of the main people I wanted to get the link to get the trainings weren't getting it. So I got to look into that. I'll do that tomorrow. But you'll see 2 of the trainings are on there. But the Thrive program's kick ass. And I used to only offer that to people that were in the coaching piece of the program. But now I made a version that people that aren't even in the coaching version can sign up for. And the point of it is this: that it's a way to stay kind of connected to me, to this world, to stay reinforced with it, and includes a bunch of stuff. There's a weekly lesson, there's a weekly class, live training, each week. There's the daily emails you get. There's gonna be weekly hypnosis sessions that are coming. There's a monthly challenge. So it's pretty cool. And it's very affordable. So that's kind of a nice way to stay in this world and really master a lot of the things that you learn in the program. Just because it's reinforcement, and we kind of come at it from different ways. The thing I love about the year programs, and you don't necessarily have to stay in it for a year if you choose not to. The Thrive program is really set up as a year, but the PYT Club's another option that will be available to you. And the cool thing about that is that the lessons are built for the time of year. So when the holidays come around, there's holiday themed lessons, and so it's kind of cool that way, because you get to learn, you get to use a lot of the program yourself in techniques within context of the situation you're in the year, but you'll get all that information. And if you have any other questions, always feel free to email me. Again, I'm always here for you guys. Give me 24 to 48 hours to respond to you, but I'll always respond to you. Kathy says, yeah, I do all or nothing. Yeah, all or nothing doesn't work very well. All or nothing, listen, when it comes to abstinence solutions like drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, gambling, these are things that work well with abstinence, right? Just a zero, all or nothing. Food does not, and for me, alcohol wouldn't have. I never, it felt very uncomfortable. And I'm picking my language carefully here, because I had an issue with the alcohol, but I never felt like an alcoholic, and I just didn't sit right with me. And so for me, I felt my path forward was moderation, and I've been able to do that. I know some people say that and aren't able to do that. I have been able to do that. And so I think one thing that does make me unique in the weight loss world, and really behaviorally, I'm a behavior coach, on top of a personal development coach as well. But I believe in moderation, and I believe getting good at moderation. I tried moderating and I ate everything. Yeah, because you suck at moderation. So what? What's that have to do with anything? Go play the guitar. You're going to suck at that. Doesn't mean you can't play it. You just got to practice it, and I find a lot of that's with moderation. Now, there are the outliers that can't moderate things and have to abstain from them. But I have found the vast majority of people are able to moderate when they learn how to have the right mindset, have the right strategies. But, all or nothing typically is a strategy that doesn't work great. And again, I'm not saying you have to do it the way I'm saying, but if you've done all or nothing with your weight loss and it hasn't worked, or if you've done all or nothing with alcohol, maybe try other things. If something's not working, do something different. That's a core NLP, presupposition. I think it's so important. Yeah, Chris says, yay, phenomenal. I'm officially 70% to reaching goal weight. Yeah, it's so great, Christy. Nice job. 70%. Super job. Yeah. And so now the process, again, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to the next 30%. It's about really like dialing in what you're doing so that it's comfortable and easy. And then you just keep optimizing and tweaking until you get to that goal weight. But now you're prepared to live there. That's the secret. So great job, Christy. And yeah, we'll be there. And like I said, I got some cool stuff. I'll share it with you more. I don't want to overwhelm you with all the stuff you get in the program, but I will send that out in the next week or so. Yeah, Kathy says, I absolutely believe in moderation. Well, so if you believe in moderation, and again, I don't want to mix up wine with food, because again, I would suggest different strategies depending on what's going on. But when it comes to food, I absolutely do not recommend all or nothing thinking. It's bullshit. It rarely works. And so moderation and all or something thinking really seem to do way better when it comes to managing the eating and the weight ultimately. What's up, 1,000? I don't know how to say your name. 1,008, 108, JK. Does prepping your day's meals the day before make better sense than grazing? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't necessarily have to prep them the day before, but at the very least, you need to structure your eating. And I say this every day, that there's no right or wrong when it comes to your weight loss. It's up to you to figure out what works for you. The one exception, the one rule I really stand behind is that you've got to structure your eating. And there's a lot of reasons why, but I'm not going to go into them right now, but you've got to structure your eating to some degree. Now, the way we do that in Program Yourself Thin, it's a very elegant way, I think. But the broad strokes of it are that we have clean days, pleasure days, and both of those days are structured. So we're never going into a day, what do I want to eat today? The worst question you can ask yourself is, what do I want to eat? The second you're like, what do I want to eat in the moment? You're good luck. good luck. I don't think you're going to do too well. So I think the real secret to getting good results is to structure your reading. I have never seen anyone, that's not true. I have seen, there's one person I know who I interviewed who had lost weight, in a way that they didn't structure their reading, but it was a weird situation anyways. Other than that, I've never seen anyone lose weight without structuring their reading. So I think it's crucial. Grazing is, forget it, not in this environment. Again, now, if we lived in the natural world, you don't need to structure your reading, but we live in a food abundant world. So you've got to structure your reading, in my opinion, Yeah, Vicky, you said, never received the trainings. Yeah, I'm going to take care of that, Vicky, because I know you weren't getting them, and I'm going to fix that. And I'm going to answer your email. I was thinking about you today. It's just been kind of a funny couple weeks for me with my kids and stuff. Yeah, my life's been kind of crazy in a good way. A lot of fun stuff has happened, but it's taken a lot of mental energy. What's up, Lindsay? Lindsay says, hey, Jim, you answered my weight loss while dealing with depression in a really profound way a few days ago. It was helpful to hear I could focus more on my mental health and weight loss. However, I've been thinking my depression may be related to the food I eat more than I realize. When I feel depressed, I eat quick carbs, but then it makes me more depressed. I feel in a rut cycle with this. Well, Lindsay, congratulations. That's so wonderful. And this is what happens. Once we kind of calm down a little bit, we start to gain more awareness. So again, I wish I didn't have any problems. I wish everything was fine. But what to get from where we are to where we want to go, it's very rarely a case of like, oh, I just need to take the action. I mean, yeah, we do have to take action, no doubt. But it's usually, to me, more that we have to become aware of what's going on, because what Lindsay was able to recognize through this is profound. It changes everything. And so, and again, it was a multi-stage solution, and you're not even there yet, but it's like, this is how real change happens. It's not the diet bullshit where it's like, oh, I'm eating when I'm depressed, I'm going to stop eating when I'm depressed. Well, that ain't the fucking problem. The eating when you're depressed is a symptom of a deeper problem, that you're depressed regularly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the diet industry's got his, sort of brains in a mashed potatoes. It's like, if you're depressed eating, people say, oh my God, I keep eating when I'm depressed. How do I stop eating? So can we hold on with the eating piece for a second? Can we talk about the depression piece? Gives a shit. Who gives a shit if the you're eating? Let's talk about why you're depressed. How's that not more important for a human being? So I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you thought about that. And then I'm glad you became aware of the magical thing. And what you're saying to me is really the beginning of real, true, profound change in terms of your reading. And that profound change is this, that we've been conditioned, right? So there's 3 phases of eating: anticipation, consumption, consequence. And in our lives, we have been obsessively conditioned through literally tens of millions of ads in our lives, all of us, to focus on the anticipation and consumption of food. And that means we have no energy left to really focus on the consequence. This is very, very intentional, because if you would train your whole life to take a minute after you finish eating and kind of check in with yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, how you feel, you would not eat the way you do. Nope. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Because what happens is you eat like shit, and then you go and you disassociate. You scroll on the phone, you watch TV, you look on the computer screen, you separate from your body, and you're not aware of how you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally after you eat like shit. And if you pay attention, what you're going to realize is when you eat like shit, you feel like shit. And that is an amazing thing to realize, because it's true. And it's every single time. It's unavoidable. I always say, metaphorically, it's the equivalent of almost of you eat like shit. You eat some fast carbs. You eat a whole pizza, a pint of ice cream. And as soon as you finish it, I pop out of the closet with my hammer and whack your thumb with it. Right. And then you say, shit. Ow. Whew. And then a little bit of time goes by, and you go and you eat some more bullshit. And as soon as you finish, I pop out of nowhere, whack your thumb, disappear. How many times would it take for me to do that before next time you thought about eating some bullshit? Like, I don't want my thumb, right? This is how humans operate. I know we don't want to think that because we got our big fancy brains in the front, but what's really driving your behavior is just simple associations. It's not rocket science. You associate pleasure to eating the ice cream and pain to not eating it. And so you eat it, regardless of what you know about ice cream or what your weight loss goals are. And so what a lot of people do with the big mistake they make a lot of times with the weight loss and the food, trying to control the food, is they'll binge or they'll overeat and then they disassociate, because beating yourself up is a disassociation method as well. Just so you know, you overeat, you binge, you eat a bunch of shit, and then you go in your head, oh, you fucking jerk. Why'd you do that? Oh, you loser. You're never going to do this. You suck. You fat. You blah, 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 blah. But you're up in your head. Your attention's all up in your thinking. You're not paying attention to how your body feels, how you feel mentally, how you feel emotionally. And if you did, you'd realize I feel like shit. I feel like shit. I feel like shit instantly. See, what you're doing is you're saying, I shouldn't eat ice cream because I don't want to gain weight somewhere in the future, perhaps. But that's not going to work because that association is so weak. What is a strong association is when you eat the ice cream and then 5 seconds later, you're like, I feel like shit. You eat the whole pizza. I feel like shit. You eat the candy. I feel like shit. And you do feel like shit. You do not feel like shit physically because you built up a tolerance to it. So I would not focus on the physical consequence first. I'd focus on the mental, emotional consequence. What are you saying to yourself 5 minutes after you finish the bullshit? How do you feel emotionally 5 minutes after you finish eating the bullshit? You don't feel good. And it's every single time. And if you're eating like shit, to me, that's all day long you felt like shit, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Never mind the weight. And I care about your weight, but never mind the weight. The point is that whole day, you feel like shit because you ate like shit. And once you start to look at things that way, it's very compelling. And it's very hard not to want to, again, if I'm popping out with a hammer, and then you start associating, oh shit, every time I eat like shit, Jim pops out and hits my thumb with a hammer. I don't want that. Now all of a sudden what's happened? Well, you've reprogrammed yourself in a way. Now, if I am whack, now what's happened is, oh, the ice cream pain, not eating the ice cream, pleasure. And that's simple. That's how you work. Tough shit if you don't believe it, because it is. You're just like Pavlov's dogs. So am I. We all are. And the more you understand that, the more real understanding you have about why you behave the way you do, which you have no fucking idea anyways. I find that fascinating that people that are extremely smart and been working on weight loss for decades, you really have no idea why you do what you do. It's crazy, right? I know why you do what you do, at least at a very simple core level. And there's obviously, specific flavors of each behavior, but that's the big reason. So yeah, you're right, Lindsay. Yeah, you're absolutely right that the food causes depression. Let it be known. If you eat a high processed food diet, there's a great chance that you're dealing with some depression. Just like if you drink a lot, you know what I mean? You're probably dealing with some depression. It's the chicken or the egg thing. Sure, it's a little both, I suppose. But certainly when you put this shit in your body, it affects you, not in good ways. Do you not believe that? You think fast food, it's like a drug. Any drug you start abusing, you're probably going to start dealing with bouts of depression. So it's not a secret, but we don't think about food that way. But so I'm really proud of you, Lindsay, because making that distinction, it's the same thing. Instead of me whacking with a hammer, now you've got the awareness. Do you see what I mean? This is why awareness is so important. So Lindsay, I think this is a wonderful insight that you've gained for yourself, because the depression is the equivalent of getting whacked with a hammer on the thumb. Right. And so now what happened? I don't even want you to stop. Don't stop eating that shit. Okay. That's the difference here. Dieters always maintain their associations. Ice cream good, not ice cream bad. And I'm going to force myself not to eat it. So you get this subconscious desire and compulsion to eat the ice cream, and you just try and fight against it instead of going deeper and blowing it up and changing the association. So for Lindsay, and again, I don't know how old you are, but it's probably been a long time that you've been doing this. You just never realized it. This is the point I'm trying to make. We're way less aware than we think we are. And so it's the awareness piece that really creates the best changes and the most long lasting changes, because the fact's never going to change, Lindsay. It's never going to change that when you overeat the refined carbs, the fast carbs in a certain way, you feel like shit. You feel depressed specifically. Okay. Now, again, I say that I quantify what I'm saying, where it's, or I qualify what I'm saying, because it's when you're at your goal weight, when you're happy with what you're doing, you feel like your eating's in control. There's a time and a place for fast carbs and that stuff. Okay. But the way you're doing it, the emotional state, the way you're doing it, how much you're doing it, when you're doing it, it sounds like that there's specific ways you're doing it that are instantly leading to feeling depressed. And so it's up to you to start being aware of that, because you're not bullshitting yourself. You're not fighting against yourself. You're recognizing something that was already there. And what's already there is that you already got me coming out and whacking your fucking thumb with a hammer, but I'm not whacking your thumb with a hammer. You feel depressed. And so once you associate and see things for what it truly is, again, you're not bullshitting yourself. It's absolutely true that when you eat that way, you feel depressed. And once you realize and make that connection, again, now you're working with your nervous system, because your nervous system is wired very simply to avoid pain, gain pleasure. And so once you associate eating that way to the depression that it causes and you see it for what it is, your brain doesn't think it's as pleasurable as it did, because now it realizes it actually creates depression. So I hope that makes sense, because what you're saying is really important, really common. We all got to go through it at some point. Is we got to reframe and understand what different foods are doing to us. That's the real secret with it. All right. So yeah, someone else has any questions? We got a quiet group today, which is all right because I'm not going to be here long. Started off late, going to end early. That's the way that's going to go. So, all right. So yeah, if anyone's here and they're not in my world, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session I give you, watch the video I made for you, read the emails I send you. It's all free. It's all free. I will help you. This is what I do day in and day out, is I help people master their weight. I've been doing it for 20 years professionally. So I can help you. Okay. Go check it out. It's all free. Watch my videos, follow me if you don't follow me. And listen to the podcast. Podcast is Program Yourself Thin, do one every day. So every day I'm live here. Usually I'm on here at noon Eastern time, a little late today, but most days I'm here. So if you have any questions, bring them. I don't care. You're struggling with something. You're flummoxed, you hit a dead end, you hit a wall, you don't know what to do. I promise you, I've got solutions and strategies for you that you're not thinking about and that no one's telling you about, is what I've realized. And, do I have delusions of grandeur? I don't think so. I've helped a lot of people, done almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions. So I think I got answers and solutions that you may not get anywhere else. So let me help you. Yeah, Vicky says, where are the Thrive lessons located? I'm going to email you that today. I'm going to do that today, and you're going to get that. I sent it out yesterday, but I forgot to, I sent it to the wrong people. You know what I mean? That was the problem. Yeah. Yep. Heather says, trying to embrace eating nutrient dense when it's time to eat and I'm not hungry. Yeah. That's great, Heather. That's what takes a little bit of work. It's a little weird. It's a little outside the norm of what you hear, but I have found that works so well, to the point, like I'm fascinated. One of the things I am about to do, we just signed up for like a CSA, which basically we did one of these years ago. I wasn't really ready for it, but it was basically just, you go to a farm and you get a bunch of money and they give you a bunch of fresh vegetables mostly and some fruit for like 20 weeks. Right. And so you get tons and tons of vegetables in your life. You got to prepare. Excuse me. You got to prepare them and eat them. That's kind of the hard part. And you got to pick them up. But I was thinking about that because I eat these giant salads now, and it's like, how much nutrition can I put in my body? And it's weird. I'm about to cross another threshold of nutrition, and I'm very interested to see how that feels. It's very, very interesting. So it does take, oh, thanks, Deb. It's weird because I was just thinking about this with the salad, and I want to make this clear. I don't say this enough. I don't think I kind of imply, but I want to say it specifically that, if you start like if you just said, oh, I saw Jim make these giant salads, and I'm going to start eating them tomorrow, this week, it's like, oh, slow your roll. Okay. I started with smaller, simpler salads and I worked it up. And I think there's almost like a tolerance to nutrition. I truly do. And I think, like, if you want to eat healthy, you got to think of a ramp up period, because it takes a little bit of time for your body, your microbiome specifically, to adjust to dealing with this food, even though it's good for you. I mean, we see this with alcohol and drugs. It's good to stop doing them, but sometimes you can be so addicted to them and been doing them for so long that you need to slowly wean off of them. You know what I mean? Or you can be really sick to even potentially die. And it's the same thing with nutrition. It is, and then maybe this is me talking. So again, I'm speaking anecdotally for sure. It's me. But I think that, sometimes when you start eating healthier, it's a ramp up period, So anyways, I will let you know, I will report back to you all that, how my nutrition, this next level I jump up to is going to go. But back to you, Heather, that the more nutrients you put in your body, for you, Heather, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be absolutely fucking shocked when you start putting a lot more nutrients in your body. Because I think you were getting by on protein bars and some kind of bullshit. I know you had a lot of healthy stuff that's going on too, but I think when you start to make a few substitutions and you switch out, protein bar type stuff for genuine nutrition, I think you're going to find that it's a game changer. Really changes a lot of stuff. Fred says, do you think that stress makes you hang on to weight? I think stress, yes. I mean, like a little bit. Yes, you're going to have higher, most likely if you're stressed, you're going to have higher levels of cortisol, and that's going to cause your body to hold on to some weight. Okay. So that is a thing, but it's a small thing compared to the stress is mostly going to cause you to hang on to the weight because the stress is going to cause you to eat more. All right. So let's be clear that, I could put you in the most stressful environment in the world if I control your food. You know what I mean? I put you in, a jail, and then I leave loud noise and stress you out the whole time, but I only give you 500 calories a day. You're still going to lose weight. Cortisol, be damned. It's not going to matter. So ultimately, it's the calories that are controlling your weight. But what happens when we're stressed is we get hungrier. We have less ability to recognize when we're making poor food decisions. We definitely recognize less how much we're eating, and we tend to overeat when we're stressed. That's the main thing. And stress and relaxation, to me, are the cornerstones, the absolute foundation of mastering your weight. All right. I believe that to the core. I think most people in the world, certainly in America, I can tell you for sure, are walking stress cases. And yes, the high cortisol levels and whatever other biochemical hormonal things that cause you to hang on to weight, I think those are real, but I think they're a tiny, tiny fraction of you're just consuming a lot more food and you don't realize it. So I just want to make that clear. What's up, Sheila? How's it going? I'm feeling great. Thinking mostly about who I want to be. That's different than who I am now. It's working. That's great. It's changing my subconscious programming. Great job, Sheila. So Sheila's in the program, right? So again, let me just say this real quick. And again, I always very, very aware and intentional not to make this an infomercial for Program Yourself Thin. But I will say that just to make a point, when is the last time when you have tried to lose weight in your life, right? Think of all the different times you've tried. And I want you to remember the time you've tried, or the times you've tried, when not only were you trying to eat better or exercise more, or whatever you were trying to do on the outside, but when of those times when you tried to lose weight, did you also have a real nurturing, supportive environment where you were relaxing every day, calming down, getting clear on your goals, thinking positive things, hearing positive, supportive, encouraging, healthy, slimming messages? When's the last time you not only just kind of followed a plan, but also had kind of like felt better mentally because you had a mindset support system as well? And I'm not talking about a Weight Watchers group. I'm talking about something really getting inside your head and putting lots of positive thoughts and ideas for you. Let me give you a different concept, because a lot of people, hypnosis has been goofified in our society, but hypnosis is a television commercial. Commercials are hypnosis. And imagine if you every day were watching commercials that were reminding you how good it feels to be healthy, how good it feels to eat healthy, natural, nutrient-dense foods, how good it feels when you made good food decisions, how much brighter your moods were, how much better your energy levels were, how much more proud of yourself you were, how it led to you slimming down and feeling better in your body, looking better, feeling good in your clothes, right? Imagine getting commercials and messages like that every day. Would it make a difference for you? Because what happens to you? You start your plan, you start out strong, and what happens? You always fade. Your mindset always fades, doesn't it? Doesn't it make sense that maybe it fades because you have no support system to boost your mindset up during the times when you're trying to change your behaviors? So, yeah, Sheila says it is the answer. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it is the answer, because everything that's really what's driving your behavior. I mean, you've dieted, you got some good days, some bad days, you do it for a little while, then you stop. What's the difference? It's not the knowledge. It's not you. You did it and then you didn't do it, so you can do it. The difference is your mindset. Your mindset starts out strong and it always fades back to normal. And so you've never changed your mindset. And that's what Program Yourself is for. So again, I tell you, taste it out. You can taste it for free. Go get the hypnosis session I give you in my bio and listen to that. It's a 10-minute kickstart session. And you'll experience what I mean. Because again, experiencing is different than just hearing it. It's the difference between me telling you about the roller coaster I went on and putting you in the front seat of it and sending you off on it. Right? Those are two different qualities of experience. So go check out the hypnosis session. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It'll mean a lot more when I talk about it this way too. Yeah, Biggie says PYT is changing my internal dialogue with myself. That's what we're meant to do. Program Yourself Thin's number one goal is to change the way you talk to yourself. Because what you're saying to yourself day in and day out is literally dictating your weight. And you have no sense of what's going on there, and you have zero reason to, no ability to change it. And that's the biggest thing we change in the program, amongst lots of other things, you know. I was going to get out of here, but there are a couple questions come in. So I got a few minutes here. Joe says, yep, it's increments for me, but I'm slowly building up to more veggies and salads. Yeah, that's great, Joe. And I love that. And again, it should be a slow, steady process. You know, I always say, like, it's like if you really truly were going to take on like a musical instrument, you know, it's like you approach that with a sense of time frame, you know, and with weight, though, we don't. And you need to, because you can't just change everything about your life in one day. Your body won't allow it. Your mind won't allow it, you know. So we got to do it systematic. So that's great, Joe. Mario says, I ate so much today. It wasn't even a binge. I was just focusing on other stuff and totally lost it. That's okay, Mario. I mean, that happens, you know? So it's again, that's the awareness piece. You know, you see, I was focusing on other stuff, which meant I took my awareness off my eating and I was an autopilot and I overate. Fine. You use that as an example. Okay, I need to pay more attention. And when these situations come up, I tend to lose attention. So I need to really put a little mental reminder in these situations. And no big deal. You know? What's up, Jonathan? Serious question. Why do I feel so helpless when trying to lose weight? Not seeing the scale go down instantly makes me feel so demotivated. Yeah, I mean, that's not unusual. You've been conditioned that way. The diet industry has conditioned you to think very short term and to think that if you're not getting instant results, what's the point? It's never going to happen. The diet industry is the food industry, and they're just getting inside your head and they're screwing you all up, you know? And you all know that because you all think the same about weight loss, all of you that are dieters, you know? And yeah, that's a big part of it. As a dieter, you're literally conditioned and trained to be discouraged real quick. Program Yourself Thin people, you see, they are way more resilient because we're following a completely different path, different goal, and all the rest of it. But with Program Yourself Thin, we literally build right into the program, being more patient, being more resilient, being more persistent, because you need to be. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not. Why do you feel so hopeless? Because you got to your time frame's this big. And on top of that, you've got nothing. You know, the thing with dieting is it's like you're either doing it or not doing it. And that's it. You know, I had a client call I was doing earlier today, and I was applauding her because she didn't have a great week, but the way she was describing the week to me was in such detail. You know, she told me about what was going wrong, but then she was telling me what led to that and what she's going to do to fix it. And what I always know about Program Yourself Thin clients is they develop an awareness that even when they're off track, they have such a refined ability to explain it in granular details. And dieters have none of that. Dieters are either on or off. They're just like a switch. And if they're off, they don't fucking, I don't know. I fell off the wagon. I feel hopeless. I can't lose weight. I step on the scale. I don't know. I'm just hopeless. I can't do it. You know? And there's nowhere to go from there because what are you going to do? You're either going to feel hopeless or you're going to feel absolutely inspired and motivated and do everything perfect. And then when you don't feel that, you go back to feeling hopeless. You know, and you're just like a black and white switch. It's just no good. So, what we need is all or something ingredients. And we need to understand, well, why do you feel hopeless? How do you think about the scale? What are you saying to yourself about the scale? Probably the biggest thing, because what you're saying when you step on the scale and see it not go down instantly, you don't feel bad because that's how you feel. You feel bad because that's how you've been trained to think. You're saying something in your head. When you step on that scale and it's the same number as it was last time you stepped on the scale, you then say something to yourself, and that something makes you feel a certain way, makes you feel hopeless. But I'd want to know, what do you say to yourself? You know, and I think what you say to yourself, I think you kind of hinted at it. Well, okay, so you didn't say it. Okay, so you said, I feel so hopeless and demotivated. But see, you have no idea how you're demotivating yourself. You're literally demotivating yourself because you're stepping on, I'm going to guess what you say to yourself is that you step on the scales the same as it was last time. And then you say to yourself, this is never going to fucking work. This is never going to work. I'm never going to lose the weight. And then you feel hopeless and demotivated. You know, you don't stand on the scale and it's the same as it was last time. You say, all right, same as last time. That's okay. My eating's been kind of consistent. But you know, I've been doing better and I know it's going to go down. I got a handle. I got my yogurt and berries in the morning now. So that's been amazing. The other day I did great, but then I skipped lunch. You know, that was kind of goofy. Now I realize I'm going to eat a lunch. Let me work on that. And as I keep fixing this stuff, that scale is going to go down to right where I want it to be. So it's fine. Would you feel hopeless and motivated if you said that to yourself? Right? Would you feel motivated? Would you feel hopeless and motivated if you stepped on the scales the same as before? You say, oh, okay, that's all right. I'm still going to do this because I got a rock solid mindset. I really want to do this. I don't give a shit how long it takes. I'm going to master this because it's really important to me. I want to feel, I want to feel like the person I want to be. So I don't give a shit. And the person I want to be is resilient, can handle stuff like this. This isn't even a big deal. So I stayed the same, big deal. But actually, I didn't even stay the same because I've learned a lot of things. And I know those things for a fact are going to turn into my weight loss. Are you saying that to yourself? And if you did, would you feel demotivated and hopeless? So again, it's what you're saying to yourself. This is the same for all of you, me included. It's what we say to ourselves that creates the feelings, and the feelings lead to the behavior. And when you feel hopeless and demotivated, yeah, let me know how your eating goes, right? As opposed to when you feel calm, relaxed, motivated, and inspired, let me know how your eating goes then, So this is the shit you never have learned. Isn't it crazy? Right? Just dropping these pearls on you. John says, another question I have for you is, do you think people notice and judge others' weight as much? Because I feel so judged every time I step outside the house. It's so sad. I hope it's all in my head. It's mostly in your head, but it's also real. I mean, people in this society, it really is a thing. It's getting a little bit better, but it's a thing, but most of it's also in your head. You've internalized this much more than anyone else is thinking it. Most people are just wrapped up in their own thing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there is still social stigma and bullshit because of it. So a little bit of both are true, but I would say, I'm just picking numbers out of the air, but it's probably 70% in your head and 30% in reality. But it's ultimately what's going on in your head that's the biggest impact, regardless of what's going on in reality. Because someone say, "Oh, you fat shit," blah, 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 blah. And you say, "Oh, fuck you. I don't care. I kind of was out of control. I didn't know how to do it. I don't like my weight either, but I'm actually learning how to fix it now. And it's actually kind of exciting because I'm learning how to do it in a real systematic way where I'm really going to master it. And I don't need all the bullshit motivation. I'm not following the diets. I really have found a way that I really believe is going to work for me." So, so it's like, it's never, understand this, that like there's the external reality, right? There's stimulus, but then there's an interpretation phase. And then there's the feeling. This is one of the most empowering ideas on the planet. Because it's never what goes on the outside that makes you feel a certain way. Never. We interpret it and then we feel the thing. And so we have a lot of influence over the interpretation piece, And so in reality, most people aren't thinking about you at all. Don't give a shit about your weight. There are some people that probably do. And who gives a shit? How do you want to feel? So there's people that hate that you're overweight. Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Oh my God, people are saying, oh my God, people, they think I'm fat. Oh my God, people you don't even know, people don't give a shit about, So again, back to what's going on in your head, and the conversation you're having in your head dictates what you're feeling more than what people on the outside are thinking or saying. Hope that makes sense. Menster says, what is a recommended amount of sugar content in a 12-ounce beverage? I see big swings in brands. I mean, if you're talking, I suppose I'm always thinking just like the big C, their sugar content in a 12-ounce soda is somewhere around like 14 packets of sugar. And I forget how many grams it is. Maybe it's around 24 grams or something. I'm pulling numbers out, so I might be a little off, but, are there different sugar brands? Yeah, man, I never really thought about that, but I'm sure, some brands probably have less sugar, some probably have more, whatever, but all of them, I wouldn't drink any of those. I would never have, and I used to drink a lot of soda. But I would never, ever, never have sugar sodas as part of my normal routine. It is just, if you care about your weight and your health, because it throws everything off. It's very difficult to master your weight, having a regular, sugar soda, sugar water habit, so what's the recommended amount of sugar you want to drink? I mean, as little as possible is what I would recommend. Now that being said, I'm saying don't drink it. There's people in my program. It's like, drink the soda, but make it's a pleasure day thing. You know what I mean? It's a moderated, compressed activity. We're not doing it 7 days a week. Not to say you can't, but it's going to make it harder, So that's my kind of answer to that. As little as possible, I suppose. Because it's not only with weight loss, but life in general. Yeah, true. I love that. Sheila says, our thoughts create our feelings. Feelings don't descend upon us. Right. And that's what we do in the program. Well, isn't that a wonderful thing to know? And to be able to manipulate too, because again, you're creating all your feelings. That's the magic of Program Yourself. Then, in my opinion, in a nutshell, is that you're in control of your feelings when you know how to control your mind, like what you're saying to yourself. And so not only can you feel less shitty emotions, but you can start to feel more positive emotions right now too. One of the biggest mistakes dieter makes is that once I lose the weight, then I'll feel confident, then I'll feel attractive. Bullshit. Start to feel those things now. And as you lose the weight, you can feel more of it, but feel them now. It's so important. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes dieters make, You said, love what you said. Thank you. I just never feel full. I'm always hungry. Yeah, but user 624, without even knowing you, I bet you feel hungry all the time because you probably eat a lot of processed food. If I just, I'm not a psychic. It's there's patterns to things. And it's very rare that I find someone who eats a very, very nutritious diet, a lot of healthy foods, whole natural foods, fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, whole grains, meats, that feels hungry all the time. Always feeling hungry is usually a symptom of processed food diet, because processed food's designed to keep you hungry all the time. Processed food companies make their money selling you processed food. So when they make the processed food, part of what they tell the chemists is make it so that people eat it and they're still hungry. And so you exist in this thing I call the endless hunger. It just never ends, no matter how many calories you eat, because you're not getting the nutrients your body needs. So that says, spot on. That's exactly what I think when I weigh myself. Hey, how did I know? Kathy says, no soda for me. Again, no soda for you is good. Real artificial, I would, that would be a focus of mine. It was a focus of mine. That was one of the easier ones for me, I will admit. I did drink a lot of soda, but again, as I learned about sugar, it just wasn't worth it. And I let it go, Tropical Peace, are you a coffee drinker? I am a coffee drinker. I drink coffee, black coffee, dark. I like dark coffee. I like bitter coffee. And I have cut my coffee consumption down by probably about 60, 70% this year. So I'm really proud of myself for that, really happy with myself for that. And I did it in a way that I just think is so elegant. And once again, it's the same strategy I used to drink less alcohol. One of the main strategies I used. And it's so funny that I knew that for the alcohol, but I didn't use it for the coffee until this year. And I kind of stumbled on it. And it's worked beautifully. It's my micro sipping strategy. So I drink my coffee as frequently as I ever have. Because I've gone through the whole coffee thing, forever. Oh, I can stop drinking coffee. I'll drink coffee. And it was always a binary all or nothing thing. And even sometimes I say, I'm going to cut the coffee down, so I'll just have a morning coffee. And what I found really has worked well for me is I drink just as frequently as I ever did. But I do stop. I stop drinking coffee usually 3:34. So then that allows me to not affect my sleep. But I drink as frequently, but I take tiny sips. And so I keep all the anchors, because I realized I do the coffee sometimes for different reasons. Sometimes I'm anxious. I got to do some work that I don't want to do, or I got to make a decision, or I'm avoiding something, or whatever. Or sometimes I just want to enjoy it, or whatever. There's a lot of reasons why I may drink it. But so I drink it now, but I take tiny sips, and that's really worked well. I'm drinking literally, like I said, 60, 70% less than I was. And that's a perfect amount for me. I feel real happy with that. Yeah, Vicky says soda's bad for your bones, leaches your body of calcium. Yep, that's true. That's true. Is artificial sugar worse than the real thing? I don't think either of them are very good for different reasons. I'll put it that way. Mario says, is body dysmorphia a real thing? Because I felt obese even at my lowest. It's insane. I don't know what I really look like. I definitely think body dysmorphia is a real thing for sure. Yeah, no doubt about it in my mind. I think that people rarely, especially if you've been dieting for a long time or you've been overweight for a long time, I think you start to get a real weird sense of self. And it shows up in all different ways. So the dysmorphia is not just like someone thin seeing themselves an overweight person. There's all sorts of flavors of body dysmorphia that I've noticed with people. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely real for sure. All right, gotta get out of here. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, that was cool. That was a good little extra boost. Those are good stuff. So again, if you're not in my world, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, the new Thin Me. Check it out. It's free. Watch the video I made for you, read the emails I send you, and listen to the podcast, Program Yourself Thin. It's on all the platforms, so you can find it that way. And we're live every day, Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern time. So if you have any questions ever, pop in and ask them. Let me take a swing at them. Let me see if I can move you forward, give you some insights that maybe, you haven't gotten before. That's what I like to do. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a super day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.